And take 3.
Okay guys, so we got asked, how do we apply progressive overload, and essentially what is progressive overload?
So what is progressive overload? I'm pretty sure that you hear that a lot, especially
what does it mean
in the fitness industry. So what we want for ourselves and for our client is basically to be a bit better every week. So it doesn't have to be by lifting heavier necessarily. It has different significations. So there's different ways to improve on a weekly basis.
Essentially, you're progressing or improving week to week.
Exactly.
One way or another. And those ways will be, number one, load.
I was going to say weight, so I don't know what you're going to say.
Right, it's weight, load, same.
Yes. So number 1, weights.
Try and increase your load.
Exactly.
Increase the weight lifted week to week. That's your number 1.
Quick example, let's say you're doing a hip thrust with 40 kg, the week after you can try a hip thrust with 45.
Done. Number 2, I would say, what did we say?
That's what I was looking at. I was like, maybe I forgot. Reps. Basically, as coach, I mean, I don't know if you work like that, but with my client, I work like that. Rep ranges. So let's say in your program, I'm not going to say do 10 reps. I'm going to say do between 8 to 12. So if you feel like you're quite stuck with the weights, you cannot go heavier than that. You can just try and add an extra rep, 2 extra reps, 3 extra reps, 6 reps.
Easy. Done.
Number 3
is tempo. My favorite. I should have remembered my fave. So slowing it down and making sure that you're actually following your protocol if you have a tempo protocol and adhering to that. And if you haven't necessarily got one and you can't increase the weight, the load, or the reps already fucking sky high, you might be doing like 20 reps, you're like, oh my God, how can I do any more? Then slow it down, add a pause.
Add a quarter rep. Is that a tempo as well? Quarter reps? Time under tension.
Time under tension. Yeah, I was just about to say, essentially that's what your tempo is doing. Applying more time under tension, mechanical tension, also breakdown.
Exactly. So pause, quarter reps, slowing down the eccentric, all the things are like part of the tempo.
Yeah.
Right?
And then number 5, is this 5?
No, 4.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
Wait, what have we got so far? Load, reps,
tempo.
Fucking out. Tempo.
And then the last
so now
one,
4. Technique. Technique and range of movement.
It's crazy. We said it before. We're like, let's do this, and I completely forgot.
I like technique should be like number 1 anywho, but range of movement or motion within that. Yeah, if you can do an extra range of movement or motion, depending on what that is, if you need to. Because when it gets heavier, the range of movement goes.
Yes.
Or the tempo goes as well, and that gets quicker, and you want to slow it down.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, what can you do to maximize that? And that's by going into a new range, which therefore you may find hard as well.
It's actually a good reminder, because sometimes you feel like, oh, you're progressing over the weeks, the weights are getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and you're so proud of yourself. And then you actually try go all the way down in a hack squat or something.
Reality check.
And you stay stuck at the bottom, and you're like, hold on. Have I been ruining my technique over the weeks?
Yeah. Or you've just been shortening the range, and you're like,
shortening the range. Yeah.
You've probably got this much more to go.
Exactly. So sometimes it's a good reality check, just to be like, try and go all the way down, try and go full range, because this is what you were doing at the beginning, just to make sure that you have been progressing.
Like if you had a rep 1 to 8, they should all look the same, actually. Yeah. Obviously it's going to slow down, but they're not going to be like, your seated row is like here, and then all of a sudden you're like,
either reducing the range or also like bouncing, using the elasticity of the muscles. I've done that last time in the pendulum, just going down super fast, and then it's easier to come back up and you're like, oh, okay. That's cheating as well.
But you're finding ways to make it easier.
So as a little tip, record yourself. Just to make sure that technique remains the same.
Done. Nailed it. I think that's sweet.